So good morning, everyone. My name is Maggie Houston White, and I'm the Executive Director of Enrollment Management here at Havergal, which means I oversee the recruitment, admission, and retention of all of our students. It's a beautiful day in July, and I'm thrilled that we have some of our current parents, an old girl, and actually somebody who is a current parent, past parent, and old girl with me today to answer some of your questions about what makes Havergal such a special school. So I'm going to start by asking our panel to introduce themselves. And Carrie, I'll start with you.
Good morning. I'm Carrie Porter. My daughter started at Havergal in grade 3 and she's now going into grade 6, her last year at the junior school. I also have a son who goes to UCC and is starting grade 8 there.
Terrific. Yasmin?
Hi, I'm Yasmin Al-Madeen. I am the old girl on the panel. I graduated class of 2012 and really excited to be here.
Fantastic.
And I'm Buffy Grand O'Driscoll. I graduated from Havergal in 1985, so I'm also an old girl. And I also have two daughters that graduated from Havergal. One is in medical school at the University of Toronto, and one is doing a master's in animal science at Guelph now. And I also have a student that is going into grade 9 at Havergal. So lots of time at Havergal for me.
Fantastic. So we have a great group here to give you some insight on what Havergal is all about. So I'm going to start, I'll start where we ended with you, Buffy. What did you appreciate most about the school during your time here at Havergal? And how has your perspective changed on that now that you've had some distance? And you did have some distance in between daughters as well. So let us know what your thoughts are there.
I think probably the thing that I appreciated the most when I was there was the extraordinary opportunities that we were given just to experience so many different things. You were never pigeonholed into one particular area. If you were an athlete, you were also in the choir or the band. And if you were a debater, you were also an artist. There were just so many things that you could experience to discover who you were and to also develop friendships that crossed, years above you, years below you, different houses throughout your grade. You just had so many of those opportunities. And I think that was really probably the thing that was very impactful for me. Now, has that changed? I think the school is probably doing an even better job than it did when I was there. It's really got a school culture that encourages engagement and kids to be involved. And it's funny, there's also that element of risk taking as well. And I just think that they're doing a really good job of really enhancing that experience for the students and encouraging them to be just fully involved in the school.
Terrific. Yasmin, what would you say to that question?
Yes, I would echo a lot of what Buffy said, but back then I would say the community really, really just excited me. The fact that teachers to parents to students would all really help you pursue any opportunity you'd want to learn about or keep going with, like a volunteer group or hobby viewers or sport or any class. And then now that it's been 10 years since, almost 10 years since I graduated, and I don't live in Toronto anymore. I still feel like the community has extended past the Ivy even more than I thought it would, honestly. Just this morning, I talked to two old girls, some of my best friends. I always reach out to teachers, for past teachers for either recommendations, for career advice, and then younger alumni or than me reach out to me to learn more about different things, and I reach out to older girls as well. And I just feel like I'm so pleasantly surprised that this community that I cherished so much while I was there and that supported me still supports me 10 years out.
It is, to have 9,500 old girls who are connected to the school. It really is something incredible. And Yasmin, when you say almost 10 years, I can't believe that's how long it's been since you graduated, and you've had a really interesting career and academic path that's been fun to watch. So thinking of your time and what you know about the school, to the best of your knowledge and your opinion, Yasmin, what differentiates Havergal from other schools? We're located right in Midtown Toronto. There's a number of schools around us. What would you say differentiates us?
Yeah, so I think what differentiates Havergal is the kind of holistic approach to education that Buffy was mentioning, and this culture that I don't think is imitatable to any other school I've been to. Like you said, went to a different college in the States and then grad school, and I do not think anyone can replace the Havergal culture and this holistic education. I think a good example of this is at prayers 3 times a week. You see this holistic education at work. There's someone speaking, either a student or a faculty member, about an important topic of the week, and then someone sings or does a musical instrument to help the school walk in and out. And then there's a lot of announcements about tryouts or organizations or different clubs and house announcements. And it just shows that you're not there for academics solely. You're there to build out all different parts of your kind of holistic education. And I don't think that is found anywhere else but Havergal.
Thank you. Buffy, how would you respond to that?
I would absolutely echo all of that it's a full kind of mind, body, soul experience that you have when you're at Havergal. I would also add that I think Havergal really focuses on how girls learn. And everything is just so specific to making how girls learn their very best experience so that they can achieve their potential. So that's kind of the academic side of it. But I think I would also add, and Maggie, you just touched on this, Havergal's campus is extraordinary. Here we are in the middle of a city with 22 acres, with sports fields, pool, tennis courts, woodland trail, gardens, outdoor classrooms. Like, I could go on and on. And that enhances your student experience, whether you realize it at the time or not. When you're sitting in class and you're looking out a window at a forest and you're in the middle of Toronto, it's just unbelievable. And I think that when you get some distance, you can really appreciate that very much enhanced your experience, and how lucky, very, very lucky we were as students to have that surrounding.
Yeah, and it's been incredible, Buffy, to see how well the school has used those 22 acres during this COVID period. To be able to have increased outdoor classrooms, to be able to run a full, phys ed program where we were able to have cross-country skiing on campus in the winter for the students. So it really is something. And Yasmin, that real holistic approach, I think is equally valid. It's about the entire student and their journey in really being prepared to make a difference. And when I look at the 3 women before me today, in the middle of summer, it was, everybody said yes to having this opportunity to speak as a parent or as an alumni. It's that kind of engagement that continues, that I don't know that our girls realize when they're first choosing Havergal is there for them, but that role modeling that's continued, whether it's through parents or old girls, and the connections where you've got a whole community that really wants you to achieve whatever it is that you want to be a part of. So this is an interesting question that Our Kids has posed, and I'll start with you, Buffy. If the school was to be represented as a single person, what would its personality be like in only 3 words?
Okay, so I think that if the school was a person, they would be, or she would be, dynamic, empowered, and also traditional. And I can explain what I mean by those 3. First of all, dynamic. I think Havergal has never rested on its reputation. It is always innovating and forward-looking and planning for the future and what they can do best for the girls. Empowered. I think girls come out of the school, and the school itself is strong and confident in its position in girls' education, and that's the kind of student that they produce. And finally, traditional. I think what we have is, combined with that innovation, a real balance with tradition and history and the things that ground us and our foundations in, so many of the things that we do that have carried through 3 centuries. I mean, you've got from the 1800s all the way through now to the 2000s. There's some commonalities that really are the basis for your school experience. And I think that those 3 things are kind of important and would embody what Havergal is.
That's terrific. And I wholeheartedly agree. When I think of the ivy that covers the walls of Havergal, it's able to grow and stretch out because of that solid foundation and roots that are a part of the school. It's such a great metaphor for who we are, and those shared experiences. When you meet with someone from the class of 1950 and she's asking someone from our grade 12 class about candlelight, and they can both talk to what it was about for them, it's pretty magical. So Yasmin, what 3 personality traits do you think Havergal, if she was a person, would have?
Yes, for sure. And I thought about this a little because it's so hard to encapsulate Havergal, but also what is great about Havergal is that there's no stereotypical girl that comes out of it. But to add on to those great words that Buffy just posed, I would say hardworking, thoughtful, and a leader. And I can explain a little bit more about all of them. But in terms of hardworking, I think the work ethic that is instilled in Havergal students at the beginning, you take with you through university, through work, and it really, really helps you out. And just the grit and the resilience that is created through Havergal it's been really helpful and incredible. And then thoughtful, because I think there's always some kind of thought behind a Havergal girl's actions, whether it's caring for their community, asking thoughtful questions if they don't know about another community, caring for their friends and family. And that's really instilled first and foremost. And then a leader, and I mean this in not the most traditional sense, Havergal really values leaders that are up in front of the school, being spirited and everything like that. But also, they really encourage informal leadership too. When no one is looking, what are you doing? And you really leave Havergal being extremely empowered in different ways, whether it's formal or informal leadership skills.
And I love that answer, because it's one of the things that I think we pride ourselves on is having the girls understand who they are as a leader. And that's different for all of us, and to know your strengths as a leader. And, that curiosity about the world. And we're so blessed to live in such a diverse city, and to have our students be able to explore and understand that, knowing they're going out into a global world where they're going to continue to learn and grow long after they leave Havergal. I think that's hugely important. So on a bit of a different tactic, Buffy, if you could change something about the school for the better, what would be the one thing you would choose to change?
Well, it's interesting because I think this ties into what you just said. I think a lot of the time we can tend to focus on those students and those old girls that are extraordinary. There are a lot of them and they do spectacular things. But there's also the student, and there's also the old girl that is quietly making an impact every day, and whether in school or in their community. And they're really upholding the mission statement of the school to make a difference. And I think they need more recognition. I know that not too long ago, we gave the Old Girls Award to a woman who, wasn't the fantastic scientist or the best-selling author. She was a woman who, in small ways, had dedicated her entire life to volunteering. And when you looked at it as a whole, that was extraordinary. But it was a whole bunch of little things that were amazing. And I think we really need to send that message to the student that, that's how you make an impact too. You don't have to be the out there superstar. You can also make an impact in small ways all the time.
I love that. And when I think of Ellen Knox's first question to her students back in 1894, it was, what will you do? And just that understanding that everybody has the capacity And whether it's in a large flashy way or just your quiet way. And we talk about that all the time at the school. You know, how are you making an impact in a way that's meaningful to you? And that's, I think, part of what drives our students to continue to make a difference when they leave Havergal, because they know it matters. So I love that. And that's definitely something, a takeaway for me today. So Yasmin, how would you answer that question? If there was something you would change for the better, what would you change at Havergal?
For sure. What I really liked most about Havergal when I was there was specific classes that applied really well to real, real life scenarios and university classes. Made me realize I really like technology and I wanted to pursue it. And now I am pursuing a career in technology. And I would hope that the school continues to do that and continues to have classes that apply to university level classes, and then also show a taste of what it could be like to be in the workforce or apply there. So to continue to do that. And I know there's been a lot of coding classes and everything like that recently. So I'm just excited for the school to better themselves in that way and continue to do so.
Yeah, fantastic. So remembering yourself as a new student, and I actually still remember those days, Yasmin, but
Me too.
what do you think would surprise a family coming into the school about Havergal?
I think what would surprise a family is how involved each of the family members will be in the Havergal experience. So when I say this, there's grandparents' day, father-daughter dance, mother-daughter brunch. My mother actually jokes that she went to Havergal longer than my older sister and I did because she did the combined years. But you really feel like the family attends Havergal, and when you graduate, the entire family is extremely sad. But it involves that part of the community as well in every way possible. And I think that just shows how supportive the community is and how important it is to involve the whole family. And that's a little surprising for sure.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. There's some tears shed by parents when their daughters graduate from Havergal. They're super proud, but I have lots of parents say, "Can I still come back and volunteer in September?" And the answer is always absolutely, because you're all part of the Havergal community for forever. So Buffy, what would you say is would surprise families coming into Havergal?
I think a lot of families that come into Havergal don't really think beyond their daughter's graduation. They're thinking of their daughter's time there. And I don't think they realize that there is an old girl community out there of almost 10,000 old girls that is just an extraordinary resource, not just for networking or mentoring, which we do very well with, but it's those global friendships and those global connections that span decades, and that your daughter will have lifelong friendships out of their experience with Havergal. And they'll have access to a community that is just amazing and welcoming and safe and exciting and inspiring. And so I think that is something that might be a bit of a surprise, just as Yasmin was saying, that your connection to Havergal doesn't stop the day you get your diploma. It continues for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite parts of my job is the fact that I get to meet families around the world. And it's incredible to me that no matter what city I'm in, I just need to throw out an email or put something on Facebook saying I'm going to be here. And I'm joined for dinner by these incredible women from around the world, all different ages and stages. Sometimes we have nothing in common other than our connection to Havergal, but I loved your word inspiring, because I always walk away from those meetings just in awe of who these women are, and how they're using their education they got at Havergal to continue to make a difference in a variety of ways. And part of that difference making is just being so open, and so welcoming, and continuing to build that community. So thinking of it from a different tactic, if you were to give advice to a new student entering the school, and Buffy, why don't we start with you, because you've been a new parent again. What advice would you give a new student entering Havergal?
I think get involved, like really just take advantage of all of those opportunities. Don't be shy, don't be hesitant, don't hold back. Try something new. If you think you might be interested in photography, join that club. If you think you might try a new sport, go out, go for it, or try intramurals. There's just so much to do, and I would encourage every new student to really, really get involved. That's the culture of the school. I mean, I think it would be strange for students to not be involved. And that's just such a big part of being at Havergal, and you make such great connections and friendships, and you really discover who you are by putting yourself out there and taking advantage of all that Havergal has to offer.
Well, I would say that is definitely something, Yasmin, I remember you doing very well. What would your advice be to a new student joining the school?
It is exactly that. I remember when I was new, I was really nervous, and I asked my sister, do you have any advice? You know, I'm a little nervous for my first day. And she said, take advantage of every single possible aspect of Havergal. And what I did was I sat down at a different lunch table every single lunch for the first month or month or two. And I just would say, in addition to trying different classes and trying different hobbies and sports, also talk to everyone, from all the teachers and older girls and younger girls, and ask questions and get to know them, because everybody's such a resource, and take advantage of this community that's there. And every single person will support you and answer your questions and help you out. It will just put you in awe that they'll just support you from the day one.
Fantastic. Now, Carrie, your daughter is about to embark on a journey where she gets to meet all sorts of students from all sorts of grades as a grade 6 leader in our junior school. Such an exciting time. I wanted to ask you, why did you choose Havergal originally? And sort of part 2 is, what ways is the school what you expected? And in what ways isn't it? Is it a little different than what you thought?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd just like to say, listening to Buffy and Yasmin, I'm so excited about my daughter's next few years at Havergal. It just sounds like such an amazing experience. I'm a little jealous that I didn't get to go to Havergal. We picked Havergal, we were looking at schools that had very high academic standards. We were looking for a very robust extracurricular program, and also a very well-rounded education. And that's what we found at Havergal. I'd also done a lot of research into the benefits of all girls schooling, and a lot of the findings resonated with me. The fact that Havergal is close to my house was just an added bonus. So as far as what I expected my daughter I expected the school to bring out the best in my daughter, and that is exactly what is happening. She has been quite a reserved child, and she is really coming out of her shell. And what I feel that Havergal has done is made her feel very comfortable and valued. They see who she is. And I've been getting a lot of feedback that she is one of the chattiest kids in the class now. So that has made me very happy. As far as what's unexpected at Havergal, I have to say that the school's religious affiliation, the Anglican affiliation, I was a little bit indifferent, maybe a bit wary of, but it has really, I feel like there's a huge value to be had with that. My daughter has learned so much about all kinds of different faiths, and also there's such a focus on how to be a good person. Mm-hmm. So that has been unexpected for me. I think the other unexpected aspect would be how I feel when I go to school assemblies and prayers, and the emotion that it brings out in me, just because I feel like my daughter is where she's supposed to be, and we're so lucky that we have had this opportunity to send her.
Oh, that's terrific. And there is something really special about prayers, and the idea that the girls have an opportunity to talk about world events, to talk about different faiths, to have a safe space to have conversations and ask those difficult questions and to really and to invite parents into that. And there is something very special when you see your daughter leading prayers, and to be able to tune in as a parent or to come to the school for them is really fantastic. Buffy, as a parent, what would you say the biggest impact the school has had? And I know you've had multiple daughters go through the school, but so when you think about each of them, what was it, what was impactful for each of them, and maybe something that was different for each of them?
Right. In speaking with my two older girls who, have now not only graduated, but have, gone through their undergraduate experience or now in graduate school, I think one of the biggest impacts was the fact that they were really taught to think critically, to question. And also a fantastic thing was their communication skills. They entered university with an ability to express their ideas, to communicate, to really, it was a standard that was far above what they found their peers to be at. And that was so valuable to them. And they didn't realize it at the time. When they were at Havergal, it was a grind. There was, a very high standard to keep up with. And the payoff for that work and that responsibility and the constant push of the staff to get them to think deeper and wider about everything that they were looking at really, really helped them down the road. What's the biggest impact for my daughter that, has just entered Havergal? Really in grade 7. So she was there for only 6 months really before Havergal kind of shut down with COVID. So her experience has been very different. And I think the biggest impact has been the amount of effort that the teachers have put into being nimble, being innovative, and being really proactive about the student experience during very tough times. Mm-hmm. And so she has had a great experience, even though a lot of it was online and a lot of it was different and a lot of it wasn't what her older sisters had or what I had. She is still having a very full, very rich experience at Havergal in these tough times.
Well, and let's keep our fingers crossed. The planning for September is underway, and we're looking forward to having all of our girls back on campus. It was great at the beginning of last year to have our students here every day. That was a huge priority for us, was to make sure that our students could be here every day. So fingers crossed that we're in the same position in September. I know that's what our plan is. Now, Carrie, you talked a little bit about the impact that the junior school has had on your daughter in growing her self-confidence. Is there any other way you really feel like Havergal has impacted her during these years that she's just begun her journey here?
Well, I think self-confidence is definitely the number one change I've seen, but she's developed some really strong, really positive friendships. When she started at Havergal, she was behind in a certain area, and really Havergal has come through with trying to get her up to speed in that one subject matter. So I'm really impressed with that.
And she's just a delight, and I'm really looking forward to the fact that she gets her grade 6 year, and what we're hoping for is a little more normal. And as we've listened to Buffy and Yasmin talk about the traditions, you're in for some great traditions as you navigate this grade 6 year. So do keep that Kleenex handy for the final grade 6 ceremony.
That will be hard.
And so if I was asking your daughter about Havergal, what do you think, Carrie, she would say about the school? What do you think her impression of the school is?
A lot of times she doesn't say much, but she's so proud. She's so proud to be a student at Havergal. She talks a lot about, all the extra things that are done in a normal year, like the day 7 excursions. She loves those. She feels very proud to be a member of the cross country team, and it was great that we weren't able to do that during the pandemic, but there was still a lot of running done on the woodland trails. She is, I think she's looking forward to the leadership opportunities in grade 6 and crossing that bridge to the big school, although I'm not in a hurry for that.
It is something special to have a junior school that does have its own space, and really the opportunity for those girls to kind of learn and grow, and to have that leadership opportunity in grade 6. And for there to be distance between the junior school and upper school. Of course, there's lots of time together, whether it's through house or specific activities like Founders Day. But it is nice for those girls to have that experience. And particularly for students who come in kindergarten or grade 1, they actually get 2 school experiences: the junior school, crossing the bridge and coming to the upper school. For any of our listeners who haven't seen our campus, we do actually have 2 distinct buildings. And the newest addition to our junior school is fantastic. So I know all of our students next year will really enjoy it just as much as our upper school students enjoyed the new art, tech, and design wing with our student commons here at the upper school. We're looking forward to unveiling that to our community when the pandemic restrictions lift. So one of the questions I asked our panelists as alum, I'm going to ask you as a parent, Carrie. If Havergal was a person, and what would its personality be like in 3 words? So, really speaking of the junior school, but as Havergal as a whole.
Okay, my first characteristic would be supportive, because I feel like Havergal has created such an encouraging, safe environment for my daughter in which she can then take some risks that will really grow her as a person. The second one is open. I think that this openness extends to, acceptance of different thinking, different beliefs, different faiths. And the third descriptive I picked was demanding, because I think that the expectations are very high at Havergal. I think, as I think Buffy was saying about the work ethic being built, that is such an asset.
Mm-hmm. And I think that combination of support and demanding really does allow the girls to be stretched, but in a way where they know their teachers will be there for them and offer that support. And it's really about feeling known and valued, both as a student and as a parent. I think that's really, really important. And speaking of values, Buffy, how would you describe the values of Havergal and what you think the values are of the families in the community? What are the shared values?
The values are actually, I think, really reflected in the mission statement. You're preparing young women to make a difference. And it's really something that is woven through all of the Havergal experience, not just from their academic setting, but from all the different school engagements. And it's, it's things like integrity and academic excellence and compassion and caring and support. And you see that and you experience that in, at parent to parent and in those volunteer experiences and opportunities to get together, that giving back. And all of those values, I can certainly speak to as a parent. When the kids come out the other side of things, they are so ingrained in the students. My daughters say it wouldn't even occur to them not to give back in some sort of way to their community. So the values are really integral to the Havergal experience. You can't get away from it. It's, the idea that we're creating strong, passionate, inquiring, and inspiring leaders for the future. It's all rolled up into one, with it being balanced with, like I said, caring and compassion and philanthropy and that whole side of things. And I think the parent community models that just as the school does and just as the students do.
And I think that's really, really important. It's something we look for in the admission process, which happens to be, it's the number one question we get all the time. What are you looking for? And our values are everywhere at the school, courage, compassion, inquiry, and integrity. And we've chosen those 4 values because they speak to who we are, about what sort of student does well here. Someone who is curious to learn, someone who is compassionate for those around them. And for students who have the courage to take risks, to ask questions, the courage to say, I'm sorry when you make a mistake. And integrity is really, it underlines everything that we do here. And that's what we're looking for in the families that join us, is families who understand, Carrie, as you mentioned, that support and striving for academic excellence. It's somebody who is looking for their daughter to have a full experience, and to grow, but to really support their daughter in who she is in this moment, knowing that she's fantastic now and will continue to be as she grows and changes. So I'm going to throw a curveball question just as we end this. It's been a pandemic. We all know that. We've all been off campus. You can see I'm in my office. And one of the things I've missed most about Havergal has been the beautiful art that is all over the halls. I'm lucky. The picture you can see behind me, I know you can only see one, has been gifted to me by a student. My office is filled with art. When you think of either as a parent or as an alumni, what is it that you've missed about being on campus, and what have you missed about Havergal? And Yasmin, you're coming up on your 10th reunion year. So what is it you've missed, and what are you looking forward to seeing when you come back?
I would say what I've missed and what I'm looking forward to for the 10th reunion is the proximity to this culture. And I think Havergal and the network does a great job of, if we're not physically together, we're always supporting each other in different ways. But just being so close to, another fellow student who's playing hockey professionally, or another one who's a scientist, or another person who's just in these different fields doing the best they can and giving back to those communities always inspires me. And every time I leave a coffee with an old girl, or leave a coffee, or see a teacher, again, I leave really inspired to do even better work for my communities as well. So just being that close to that Havergal spirit, I definitely miss it, and I'm very excited to be back there soon.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you at that reunion. Carrie, what would you say as a parent who's been off campus, even though we had our students here every day, we couldn't have our parents in the building. What have you missed, and what are you looking forward to seeing when you're back at school?
I miss chatting with the other families during pickup, definitely, but I really miss going into the school, saying hi to the teachers, seeing the students, going to prayers, and hearing the way firsthand that the girls are spoken to with such respect and high expectations, and just being connected to the school in that way. I mean, that was available virtually, but it wasn't the same. So yeah, I can't wait. I hope we're back to doing that in September.
Yeah, we're our fingers crossed for when we can open our doors to everybody again. And Buffy, last word to you. What have you missed?
Well, one of the big things I missed was my 30th reunion. I can't believe that it was 30 years. But I have to say, I've got such a fantastic group of friends that we still stay in touch with each other. There's probably about 20 of us that regularly get together. We've Zoomed, all of that. But I missed seeing, the girls that would come from all over the world to come back for our reunions. We've got a really strong class. So that's kind of my old girl's hat, the things that I missed, those connections. As a parent, again, I've been so fortunate to be connected to the school for so long. And I really, really missed being in the school, again, chatting with the other parents, making those connections, cheering on our daughters for sports teams. I missed out on being there and watching those band performances or, the drama performances. And, there's so many ways as a parent that you're connected to the school and you can be involved in the school. To have that cut off was almost like going through withdrawal. It was hard for me because I love the school. I absolutely love the school. And that distance this year was difficult.
Well, I feel like in our events, when we are all able to be back on campus, we're going to have to make them extra long, because I know the faculty and staff, we all feel the same way. There's going to be a lot of chatting going on when we all get back together. So I really appreciate you having this talk with me. Our Kids is going to share it with families who are interested in Havergal. And I think today really summed up what Havergal is all about. It's really about a school who is traditional, but not withheld by or held back by tradition. We're a school that values excellence, and we know with excellence there needs to be excellent support involved. And we are clearly a school that values community. So thank you so much for being a part of the community, for being a part of this talk today, and for giving up your time in the summer. It was great to see you. I know we're actually all in different spaces in the world, so great to be able to connect. And I really hope that I get to see all of you in person really soon.